The Artemis Fowl reviews are in, and they're pretty foul. Unless you've been living in some sort of underground bunker, it's pretty obvious that we're living in strange times. Beyond, well, everything going on in the world, one of the strangest pop culture trends on this ride we call 2020 is the decision to debut certain films on streaming services at home rather than in movie theaters, which, to be fair, are currently closed. The latest of these is Disney's adaptation of Artemis Fowl, which originally was going to hit theaters in August 2019, before being pushed to May 2020, and then ultimately coming out June 12, 2020 on Disney+. The only movie that had it worse than this is New Mutants, which I look forward to seeing sometime in the next 100 years or so. But now, after several delays, the film is finally here, and the question on everyone's mind is the movie Artemis fun or Artemis Fowl? You guys get it, right? Alright, let's keep going. Based on the 2001 young adult book by Owen Colfer, Artemis Fowl is all about the eponymous Artemis Fowl II, a 12-year-old criminal mastermind in a world that blends mythology, magic, and technology. The OG book was famously described by Colfer as Die Hard with fairies, and what sets it apart from other YA series is that the namesake character definitely isn't the good guy. He's a little criminal mastermind, and that subversiveness is also what got fans on board in the first place. But fans also took umbrage with the film once the second trailer came out in March, and seemed to downplay Artemis's villainous nature. And now, according to reviews, that change is indicative of the movie as a whole. Collider's headline might say it all. The most amazing thing about this movie is how bad it is. Yikes. However, their reviewer, Matt Goldberg, does make an interesting point about how the problems this film faced were likely beyond its control. There probably wasn't a point where this movie would be a theatrical hit, but when people have been homebound for months, you don't want to watch a movie that mostly takes place in a house. IO9 manages to damn it with the faintest of praise. It's no surprise that Hollywood's been trying to turn Artemis Fowl into a film ever since the first book in the series dropped in 2001. But what was interesting is how the project languished in development hell for well over a decade, as no studio seemed to be able to crack the code as to just how to bring Artemis' story to the big screen. Disney has come awfully close with Kenneth Branagh's new Artemis Fowl adaptation. Slash Film's review, though, goes straight for the jugular. Bogged down by exposition and a nonsensical narrative, Artemis Fowl feels like it's cobbled together from YA fantasy buzzwords and a corporate boardroom's understanding of what the kids like these days. Now, I don't know about you folks, but it seems like Artemis Fowl is proactive and has the bandwidth to make a totally outrageous paradigm KPIs. The review continues, there's no dramatic arc in Artemis Fowl, things just happen with no build-up as characters over-explain concepts that have no bearing on the plot. The New York Times review was quite blunt in its summary. Kenneth Branagh's film has no reason to exist other than to spawn sequels. Ouch! The AV Club also decries the film's seeming dismissal of the books. The only interesting thing about this irritatingly smug and cheaply campy adaptation is how uninterested it is in its own source material. Uproxx agrees with the consensus that the film is extremely confusing, but also adds a point that we felt compelled to share, and spoilers for the film and for your lunch. Then it's also right about this point that Josh Gad, playing a dwarf named Mulch, starts eating dirt, then shooting it out of his ass. And yes, before you ask, this does indeed happen in the books. I know. I know. As for Nerdist's review, Michael Walsh wrote this on Nerdist.com about some of the most exasperating moments in the movie in his review. Characters inexplicably switch allegiances, gain power, or become friends for no reason. Magical technology isn't explained, and Artemis's plan feels made up. It constantly feels like he must have blacked out during needed exposition. He also highlights another huge problem for book fans, the film's depiction of the fairy, Holly Short. She's the true hero of the novel, and a wonderfully written character with her own compelling arc. The film dramatically changes her story. Gone is the underestimated, strong character who bravely stands opposite the dastardly Artemis. And Walsh goes on to say what seems to be the consensus of every review so far: Artemis is the bad guy. If they wanted a hero as the main character for a new film franchise, they could have adapted a million other stories. And for more on this review, as well as a million other stories, be sure to head on over to Nerdist.com. But folks, with the film dropping on Disney Plus on June 12th, it remains to be seen what the viewer consensus is going to be. But the critical one? Well, it isn't pretty. But what do you folks think? Are you going to watch Artemis Fowl over the weekend? Are you upset with the changes from the book? And seriously, that ass-blasting dirt thing? That's in the books. That's not a question. That's just a fact. Let's discuss. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. If you'd like to get notified whenever we go live with a new show or drop a new video, hit that little bell down below and you'll be up to date on all the latest theories, news, and rumors in the pop culture world. But on a more serious and important note, if you'd like to learn more about how to educate yourself and get involved in the ongoing battle against police brutality and systemic racism, you can head over to Nerdist.com where we have an ever-expanding array of articles and information on those subjects. In the meantime, stay safe, be healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.